proved far stronger and more resilient than anyone had imagined. Everything was going according to their expectations. Captain Jack was accompanying Catherine in this expedition. Both were fulfilling their temptations of diving in the middle of marine inhabitants when suddenly, the cage moved with a jerk. Initially, they thought it was simply because of the cruel water waves, but their prediction got wrong when they saw a shadow. To their astonishment, it revealed a magnificent creature with untamed jaws, defying any prior expectations. She had already encountered sharks in her 20 years of diving career, but this shark had something different in it. They were surrounded by metal protection, but the shark could have made any unpredictable move to hurt the divers. Catherine was playing safe and trying to take the cage from the shark's vicinity. Jack was helping her and taking care of the emergency control button simultaneously. As they descended into the darkness, their surroundings became barely visible. Using their waterproof torches, they scanned the area to see everything around them. The shark was angry and seemed aggressive, as if hungry for ages. Catherine wasn't taking it seriously, as she had encountered sharks before. The only difference was its massive size, which was more than enough to terrify an ordinary person. The shark rushed towards the metallic bars and tried to get into the cage. The cage bars were close enough, making it difficult for the shark to get in. The giant creature struck the cage with all its force. The cage turned upside down with numerous jolts, injuring Catherine and Jack. Both of them had lost their balance, but the cage had somehow managed to sustain the damage. The shark wasn't happy with this unfamiliar intrusion in its territory at all, and it was giving signs through its attacking nature. The crew was defensive because they couldn't attack the giant creature. Just when the shark attacked again, Catherine decided to escape the cage. She instructed Jack to inflate the life jackets and ensure they had enough oxygen to survive. Jack followed the commands and they opened the locks. Little did they know that their survival strategy was going to be miserable. When Catherine rushed to open the locks, the shark attacked again. This time it was a 10 times heavier jolt that left Jack unconscious. Catherine lost control of her nerves. The cage constantly jerked and jolted after the attack, spinning in the darkness. The shark had almost entered the cage and had destroyed a few of the metallic bars, because of which its mouth was inside the cage, while the gigantic body was outside. All the shark needed to do now was to put in a bit of effort to get to the prey, who were only a few meters away. It was constantly applying force and getting closer to the two divers, trembling with fear. After minutes of constant effort, the shark had destroyed nearly all the metallic bars and entered the cage. Both had no chance to escape now, and death was obvious. They pressed the emergency control button and sent as many signals up there on the shore as possible, but none of the strategies could have saved them from a hungry beast. Catherine remembered her family and the fabulous days she had spent there. She thought about almost every memorable event of her life, and the records she had made, because these were probably her last moments in this world. The shark opened its mouth and ate Jack in front of Catherine. Catherine lost consciousness right there because she couldn't see her dearest friend dying before her. The water in the cage turned red for some time, but the redness stayed for a few moments because of the flowing water. Jack was in pain and affliction as he was crying, but his sound was inaudible in the depths of the water. The shark rushed forward and ate Catherine, who was already unconscious. Both the divers had gone to the world of imagination. They were no longer the inhabitants of planet Earth, and they belonged to an unknown place. The rescue team sent a cage after detecting the exact location of the place. They kept on looking for their divers, but couldn't find any signs. After hours of rescue operation, they found a destroyed cage with a shark circling it. There was no sign of humans at all. After roaming around in the water and using almost every strategy to find the lost divers, the rescue team returned to the surface, declaring the two divers dead. The world mourned the death of such a famous marine enthusiast and her supporting staff. Cage divers decided to keep the metallic bars close enough for any shark to enter. They decided to get into the depths with all the necessary protective equipment. They had learned a lesson and were enthusiastic about continuing the legacy of their dead fellows who had made history. Cage diving was not simply a sport, but a passion for Linda Thomas. She had gone on numerous water expeditions before, but this was different. She decided to go to the South African coast. which is famous for its magnificence and its frightening sharks. Linda Thomas learned about an 18-feet-long shark in the ocean's depth. Thrilled by the idea of looking at the beach houses lining the shores and palm trees swaying gently in the ocean breeze. The locals take pride in their vibrant marine ecosystem and have worked hard to preserve the underwater beauty that attracts divers and snorkelers worldwide. The friends have grown up in Ocean Haven, exploring its coastline since they were children. They have always been drawn to the ocean's allure and the wonders it holds beneath its surface. This diving expedition is not just an adventure. It is a journey back to their roots, a way to reconnect with the sea that has shaped their lives and forged their friendship. As they prepare to dive into the depths of the Gulf, excitement and anticipation fill the air, mingling with the salty scent of the ocean, creating an atmosphere of thrill and wonder. Excitement fills the air as the group sets out on their diving adventure, eager to explore the wonders of the underwater world. They board their boat and head towards the deeper waters, hoping to encounter the majestic creatures that inhabit the ocean depths. As they descend into the deep blue sea, the group is in awe of the beauty surrounding them. Colorful fish dart by, and the coral reefs create a mesmerizing underwater landscape. They swim together, marveling at the diverse marine life that calls this place home. But suddenly, the tranquility is shattered by a loud thud. Mike turns around to see his friend Mark's panicked expression. Without warning, a massive shadow looms beneath them. A great white shark circles them, unlike any they have encountered before. Fear grips the group as they realize the danger they are in. The shark shows no signs of backing off. Instead, it seems intent on getting closer to them. They know they must act quickly to protect themselves. In the grip of an adrenaline rush, they swim back toward the boat. The shark follows, its powerful presence felt with every stroke they take. Panic sets in as they struggle to reach the safety of the boat. As they approach the boat, the shark suddenly lunges, catching Mark by the leg. The water turns crimson as Mark lets out a muffled cry. The others grab their injured friend and pull him onto the boat, their hands shaking with fear and shock. The shark's jaws clamp down on Mark's leg with a terrifying force, its rows of sharp teeth piercing through his wetsuit and into his flesh. The pain is excruciating, and Mark feels trapped in a nightmare as he struggles to break free. Mike and the others manage to pull Mark onto the boat, his leg badly mangled from the shark's bite. They quickly wrap it in makeshift bandages to stop the bleeding, their hands trembling with fear and urgency. The injured Mark lies on the boat, gasping for breath, his face pale with pain. The shark circles the boat, its dark eye fixed on the injured diver. The group huddles together, their hearts pounding as they devise a plan to escape the relentless predator. Mike takes charge, his mind racing as he assesses their situation. They need to get back to shore, but the shark is still circling their boat, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike again. With the injured Mark lying on the boat, they start the engine and frantically attempt to escape. The shark, however, is not easily deterred and continues to follow them, its dorsal fin ominously cutting through the water. The great white shark continues to circle the boat, seemingly taunting them. It strikes the boat with such force that it nearly tips over. The group holds on tight, their nerves on edge as they try to keep their balance. Desperate to scare the shark away, they grab their diving gear and plunge back into the water. They swim towards the shark, waving their flippers and making loud noises. The shark seems momentarily startled and veers away, giving them a brief respite. But the predator is relentless and quickly returns to circle them once more. The group swims back to the boat, their hearts pounding in their throats as they realize they must find another way to escape. With their options running out, they decide to make a distress call on their radio. They pray for a passing boat to hear their call and come to their rescue. Minutes feel like hours as they wait, scanning the horizon for any sign of help. Finally, a distant sailboat comes into view. Relief washes over the group as they see the boat heading towards them. They signal for help, and the sailboat approaches cautiously. The crew on the sailboat throws them a lifeline, and one by one, the divers are pulled to safety. They are taken on board, and Mark receives immediate medical attention. The sailboat crew helps them return to shore, where an ambulance waits to take the injured diver to the hospital. The group is shaken but grateful to be alive back on dry land. They recount their harrowing encounter with the great white shark, realizing how close they came to tragedy. As they reflect on their ordeal, they know they were lucky to have survived. The ocean can be a beautiful and captivating place, but it is also a realm of danger and unpredictability. Their adventure serves as a sobering reminder of the risks of exploring the depths of the sea. From that day on, the group has a newfound respect for the ocean and its inhabitants. They will always cherish the thrill of diving, but will never forget their task's urgency to end the attacks that had claimed lives. Captain Turner firmly shook Amelia's hand, acknowledging the gravity of the situation. She knew they were not dealing with an ordinary shark. This was different. It was a bull shark, but its behavior was more cunning, operating as a solitary predator rather than part of a group. The two professionals, united by their shared goal, prepared to face the challenges ahead. The safety of the waters and the lives of those on board depended on their expertise and swift action. Together, they set out to confront the intelligent and dangerous bull shark lurking beneath the waves. Their determination to protect and preserve would guide them through the perilous voyage. The crew prepared to set sail as the sun set below the horizon. Among them was Connor Marshall, a young deckhand with much energy and ambition, eager to impress Captain Turner. Fear couldn't keep him down, not when the town's survival depended on their ability to perform the assignment successfully. Who fought off a similar threat a century ago. This hunter was a relic from the past. The professional hunter devised a unique plan for luring and capturing lethal sharks. Because of their optimism, the crew devised a plan combining traditional shark hunting knowledge with cutting-edge modern tools. They created an ingenious baiting technique and waited for the bull shark to take the bait before pursuing their objective. Finally, the end of the world arrived. The massive bull shark, drawn to the Ocean Voyager by the perfume of the bait, charged toward the ship with all of its might. When it lunged at the bait, the crew fired their device, causing the predator to become trapped in a net. They were exhausted but triumphant, and they were able to bring the mighty bull shark on board for examination. Dr. Crane's astonishment grew as she got a better look at this magnificent but potentially fatal creature. Even Captain Turner, who had challenged the apex predator, felt admiration for the beast for a brief period. The crew released the bull shark into the water when the sun rose, keeping it away from the Portville coast. They not only saved their town, but they also demonstrated that humans and the environment can coexist peacefully. When the dread buried beneath the tides was eventually extinguished, the town gained a new appreciation for the untamed force of the ocean. Their triumph over the deadliest bull shark attack became a tale passed down from generation to generation. It reminded everyone who heard it of the 10
around him, marveling at the colorful corals and the schools of tropical fish that darted past him. He spotted a giant manta ray gliding gracefully overhead, and he felt a rush of excitement and awe. For the next hour, Harvey and his dive buddies explored the reef, taking in the breathtaking beauty of this underwater paradise. They spotted a sea turtle lazily swimming by, and Harvey snapped some photos with his underwater camera. He also saw a small octopus hiding in a crevice and a bright orange starfish clinging to a rock. As they ascended back to the surface, Harvey felt a sense of exhilaration and joy. He couldn't wait for the next dive, which was scheduled for later that morning. After a brief break, Harvey and the others geared up again and headed back into the water. This time, they were on a mission to locate a sunken shipwreck that was rumored to be in the area. Using their compasses and underwater maps, they navigated through the reef until they reached the spot where the wreck was supposed to be. At first, they saw nothing but sand and coral. But suddenly, Harvey spotted a dark shape looming in the distance. As they got closer, they realized it was indeed a shipwreck covered in barnacles and surrounded by schools of fish. They swam around the wreck, exploring its nooks and crannies and taking more photos. Harvey was thrilled to have discovered such an amazing sight, and he felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. After the second dive, Harvey and the others returned to the dive boat, tired but happy. They chatted about their experiences and shared their photos, swapping stories and tips. Harvey He knew that great whites were common in the area, but he had never encountered one up close before. He hesitated for a moment, wondering if they should abandon the dive, but his curiosity got the better of him, and he convinced the others to press on. They approached the wreck slowly and carefully, keeping a close eye on the shark. As they got closer, Harvey realized that the wreck was home to a whole ecosystem of marine life. Schools of fish swam in and out of the nooks and crannies, and he saw lobsters and crabs scurrying along the ocean floor. He also noticed that the great white shark seemed to be hunting around the wreck, using it as a source of food. Harvey watched in amazement as the shark darted in and out of the shadows, searching for prey. For a few minutes, Harvey forgot his fear and was completely absorbed in the underwater world around him. He was so engrossed in his observations when he felt something shift in his backpack. He tried to adjust it, but in doing so, he accidentally kicked a small rock that had been resting on the ocean floor. The sound of the rock hitting the shipwreck echoed through the water, and suddenly, Harvey heard a loud thrashing sound. He looked around and saw a massive shark heading straight for him. Harvey knew that he had made a mistake. He had accidentally disturbed the shark's peaceful existence and now put himself in grave danger. He tried to swim away as fast as he could, but the shark was too fast. It closed in on him, and Harvey could see its sharp teeth glinting in the dim light. The group was horrified as they watched the shark relentlessly attack Harvey, its jaws clamped tightly around his shoulder. Without wasting a second, the group of divers sprang into action. They formed a human chain, trying to distract the shark and draw its attention away from Harvey. Some of them even swam towards the shark and tried to hit it with their diving gear. Another diver signaled for the group to surface and call for help, hoping that a nearby boat or rescue team could come to their aid. However, the shark was too strong and too determined to let go of its prey. It thrashed around violently, causing chaos in the water. The shark was relentless, and it took all of the divers' courage and strength to keep it at bay. They were finally able to pry Harvey free from the shark's jaws, but unfortunately, it was too late. The force of the shark's bite had already decapitated Harvey. Despite the divers' valiant efforts, they were unable to save Harvey from the shark's jaws. As the reality of the situation set in, the divers were left feeling helpless and devastated. They had lost a member of their group, a friend, and a fellow adventurer. They felt a deep sense of grief and sorrow. They knew that the memory of that terrifying encounter with the shark would stay with them forever. They were shocked by the suddenness and violence of the attack, as well as by the realization of how short life was. The sight of their friend being attacked by the shark was something that would haunt them for a long time to come. In the aftermath of the attack, the group was left with a renewed respect for the power and unpredictability of nature, as well as a greater appreciation for the fragility of life. They knew that they had been lucky to escape with their lives, and that they would need to be even more careful was the shark. Sharks were known to be one of the most elusive and dangerous fish in the sea, and catching one was considered a feat of great skill and bravery. Toshiro had heard that there was a high demand for shark meat in the city, and that it fetched a premium price at the market. He knew that catching a shark would not only be a personal accomplishment, but it would also be a lucrative business opportunity. Despite knowing that it was illegal to catch sharks, Toshiro couldn't resist the temptation. He believed that he could catch one without getting caught by the authorities, and was willing to take the risk. He began researching the best baits and techniques for catching sharks, and spent hours on his boat, scanning the horizon for any signs of a shark. He even invested in special gear, including a stronger fishing line and hooks, to ensure that he would be able to catch the shark once he found it. Toshiro was determined to catch the shark, not just for the thrill of the hunt, but also for the potential profits it could bring him. He was willing to break the law to achieve his goal, even though he knew the risk and consequences of getting caught. That is why when Toshiro heard that there had been sightings of sharks in the open waters of the Pacific Ocean, he suggested to the crew that they try to catch one, knowing that it would be a risky but potentially lucrative endeavor. The crew was looking for a big catch to make up for the slow fishing they had experienced earlier in the week, so they agreed to Toshiro's suggestion, albeit reluctantly. They set to work, preparing their gear and bait for the shark hunt. They had a large boat equipped with a powerful motor, and they scanned the horizon for any signs of a shark's fin. They knew that sharks were attracted to schools of fish, so he scanned the water for any signs of movement or activity. They also checked their fishing chart to identify areas where the water was deeper, hoping that this would increase their chances of finding sharks. After a few hours of searching, Toshiro spotted a large fin breaking the surface of the water in the distance. He knew that this was likely the shark he had been looking for, and he quickly steered the boat in its direction. As they approached the shark, Toshiro could feel his heart pounding in his chest. He knew that sharks were dangerous and that any misstep could be fatal, but he was determined to catch the shark, and he believed that he had the skills and experience to do so. Toshiro, being the most experienced fisherman in the crew, took the lead and began taunting the shark with his fishing pole, hoping to provoke it into attacking. But the shark was not easily fooled. It circled their boat, watching him carefully and waiting for an opportunity to strike. Toshiro cast his line, using a large piece of fish as bait. He waited patiently for the shark to bite, hoping that he had chosen the right spot and the right time to catch it. The tension on his fishing line was palpable, and he could feel his adrenaline rising as he waited for the shark to take the bait. Finally, the shark made its move, lunging at the bait with lightning speed. Toshiro pulled his line away, trying to get the shark to come closer to the boat so they could catch it. The crew was excited, and they cheered Toshiro on, watching as he fought with the shark. But the shark was too quick, and it turned on him, attacking his arm and dragging him into the water. The crew quickly sprang into action, pulling Toshiro back onto the boat and attempting to save his life. They saw that Toshiro had suffered serious injuries, with bite marks on his arm and torso, and blood was gushing from the wounds. The crew knew that time was of the essence, and they immediately began to administer first aid to Toshiro. One of the crew members applied pressure to the wounds to stop the bleeding, while another crew member checked Toshiro's pulse and breathing. The crew realized that they needed to get Toshiro back to shore as soon as possible so he could receive proper medical attention of the glass tank that contained it. The Great White, affectionately nicknamed Mighty, had been the star attraction of the aquarium for years, delighting audiences with its graceful movements and fearsome presence. It had been carefully trained by the aquarium staff to perform tricks and interact with visitors, becoming somewhat of a local celebrity. But on one fateful day, something went terribly wrong. The shark, without warning or provocation, began to thrash about wildly in its tank, smashing into the walls and causing a panic among the visitors. The aquarium staff sprang into action, desperately trying to calm the beast and prevent any harm from coming to the visitors. The cause of the shark's sudden outburst remained a mystery, but many speculated it was due to stress or agitation from being cooped up in the small tank for so long. Regardless of the cause, the situation quickly spiraled out of control, with the shark becoming increasingly violent and aggressive. As the chaos ensued, the staff quickly ushered the terrified visitors to safety, but it soon became clear that the shark was beyond their control. Despite their best efforts, the animal continued to lash out, wreaking havoc in its surroundings and causing damage to the aquarium. The situation quickly became a matter of public concern, with news of the rogue shark spreading like wildfire. The authorities were called in to assist with the situation, but their efforts were met with limited success. The shark proved to be to approach it without fear of attack. And then, in a moment of pure magic, the shark and Tony connected. It was as though they were communicating on a level beyond words, with an unspoken understanding passing between them. The shark, which had been so aggressive and violent just moments before, now lay motionless as Tony gently stroked its fin. The crowd watching from outside the tank was silent, holding their breath as they